Meeting is being conducted in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertisement, the Cape May Star and Wave, on the Herald, on the Township website, and posted on the bulletin boards at Township Hall.
Please stand for a Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. And I would ask that we would remember that yesterday was the 20th anniversary of the death of Officer Dave Douglas. A number of us on council and the manager and a lot of you people, we all went over to Town Bank Fire Company for a memorial event. So please keep him in your prayers too. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Conrad.
Here.
Councilmember Neville.
Here.
Councilmember Simonson.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Clark.
Here.
Mayor Beck.
Here. Before we begin the work session, we have a quick presentation from Karen Wadding and the Lower Cape May Regional students about the National Highway Traffic Safety Association You Got Brains Contest 2014. If you would please, Ms. Waddington, would you step forward? This was at the request of Councilman Simonson. It was placed on the agenda. Feel free, ladies. Come up as a group.
Do you mind if we videotape part of this? Because
that's fine.
We have to submit a 10-minute culminating DVD for the contest.
Certainly.
If that would be okay.
Ladies, if you look that way, she'll also be videotaping you as you address the council.
My name is Karen Wadding, and I'm a health and physical education teacher at Lower Cape May Regional. And as many of you know, we do the Share the Keys program at school, and Nicole will talk a little bit more about that. Why we're here tonight is we have been approached by Teresa Thomas, who's the executive director from Share the Keys, and she's also with New Jersey Traffic Safety Alliance. And she said, because you guys have done such a good job and have hosted the Share the Keys program at school for so many years, I really think you should get involved in this You've Got Brains contest. And so I brought the girls, Morgan Hart and Emily Levin and Nicole Hornbeck with me. They're part of the group of kids that I kind of solicited. We were allotted $1,000, which Nicole will also talk a little bit more about, in order to do this program. And so we're here to just present it to the council, and there is a community involvement part. So as we get rolling on this, we're maybe looking for support from the residents of our towns to try to help support our campaign so that hopefully we could bring home a winner. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Nicole.
Little vertically challenged. I'm Nicole Hornbeck, and I am involved in the LCMR Teen Driving Campaign. About 3 years ago, Ms. Wadding, along with other faculty members, got involved with Share the Keys, which is a seminar for parents and teen drivers to stress the driving laws in an effort to promote safe teen driving. Along with Share the Keys, our school has entered a contest sponsored by the New Jersey Brain Injury Alliance, where winners will be, they will win a driving simulator. In order to win this contest, we must promote safe teen driving in our school and community. And for the month of February, we are promoting seatbelt safety, and we have already had students pledge to buckle up. We would like to thank Officer Barkus, along with the entire Lower Township Police Department, for allowing us to utilize the sign to promote Seatbelt Safety Month, which is displayed on Route 9 right across from our school. In the month of March, our theme is speeding and impaired driving, where we will have other events to promote the theme of the month, such as a presentation from Gabe Hurley, who is actually involved in a severe car accident caused by an impaired driver. In April, the theme is distracted driving, and in May, as we approach spring and summer, we are dwelling on bicycle, pedestrian, and motorcycle safety due to our tourism industry. What we are asking from the township is simply for your assistance in our teen driving campaign. And our slogan is LCMR wants you alive, follow the law, be smart when you drive. Did anyone have any questions regarding the campaign?
That was great. Outstanding. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wish you luck.
Thank you very much.
We'll round up some community support when you need it. Let us
Okay,
know.
great, thank you.
Pull the lottery in here. Michael, I think you wanted to talk about an issue real quick.
Yeah, Councilman Neville wanted me to get an update for everybody in his ward on the Clubhouse Road project. And I have the engineer here. He has another meeting, so he asked for the courtesy to address council.
Sure.
Mark?
Good evening. I'm Mark Stray with Hedgeron McDonald. Just wanted to give you an update on the Clubhouse Drive process or project where we're at with regards to survey and design. We've completed our survey out in the field and utilities in along the project, and we're in the process of preparing the base maps. We're looking at probably 2 to 3 weeks till the design is complete. That puts us in a position to bid this project, which is going to be a 90-day project due to some additional issues we found with some stormwater work at Beverly Road. It's going to put us in a position where that 90-day window is going to be close or falling over into the July 4th weekend if we proceed fast track from this point. Our recommendation is, since this project will require a full detour during the reconstruction, that you wait until the day after Labor Day to begin construction. We can still go ahead now, finish the design, put it out to bid in May, June, have time for it to go to DOT, get approval, review the bids and so forth, and be in a position where the day after Labor Day we can start right into construction out in the field. Have shop drawing review done previous to that, so come the first day after Labor Day, you'll see the shovel in the ground.
What amount of time do you think that the road will be actually closed for the repair?
We're looking to, well, within a 90-day contract window, you're looking at probably 60 days.
60 days.
Correct.
You'll have to go either down, say, Town Bank, or come out
Go down-
Clubhouse the other way.
Correct. There's going to be a little issue there with Pinewood because there's not an alternate route there, but we'll handle that with a contractor in the field and just have to provide access through that one end there.
But I mean, you'll be able to go through the S-curve and make a turn and go down the
Correct.
bay. Okay, it's not, you're not going to have to go all the way around or something.
Yeah, in light of the fact that the Property Owners Association has the whale of a day, and it's been 13 years, and they close off that portion, and there's 10,000, 15,000 people that enjoy that day. If we got to wait to get it done right, it's probably the best move then.
And like I said, we can continue. We can put it out to bid in May, June, and have all the contracts set up, signed, certificates of insurance ready to go, so that come the day after Labor Day, they can actually start working.
And it may not take 60 days, right? If they,
Well, it's still gonna take. Correct. The actual construction time, they'll get a notice to proceed previous to that to complete shop drawings and do what they pre-construction meetings and so forth. So the 90 days would start before Labor Day, but in the contract it would be written that they cannot be out actually doing construction work until the day after Labor Day. And yes, it may be 60 days after that. So yes, that will shorten potential detour time as well.
that'd be good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mayor.
Now comes to the good part, our budget. We've brought in Leon Costello and Lauren Reed here we're moving on to that now, right?
Yes, as the council required, the manager message was given at the last meeting, and tonight we are going to introduce the budget. Leon Costello is here, our auditor, with Lauren, our chief financial officer.
Yeah, we'll get you out of here. You say a few words and you're on a roll.
Thank you. Obviously, tonight's the introduction of the budget, and the process officially begins tonight, but obviously it's been going on for quite a while. Probably a good 3 months that Lauren's been working on this with Mike, and
Is that mic on? Mic is, I don't think the mic is on.
it's on.
Is it? Sounds like
Yeah, it's definitely on.
we're not getting you.
You talking to it?
It's on right now.
Yeah, we can hear you. Just speaking closer.
Okay. So obviously, this budget's been underway now for a good 3 months, and tonight is the official start of the budget calendar for the township. You're going to introduce this tonight, and you'll have the public hearing in April, at which time it'll require a vote to pass it, change it, or think some more about it. This budget contains identical state aid from last year. That's been the word that's been passed down to us. Officially, you'll find that out on Tuesday. The governor does his budget address on Tuesday, but there's no anticipation of changes in state aid. The budget does not contain a tax increase. The tax levy is basically the same as it was last year. There is, though, a tax rate change because of the reassessment. The reassessment, the total township properties in total dropped. So we divide the same number into a lower number, we're going to get a higher rate. But the amount that the township's going to receive is the same as last year, within a few dollars. So essentially, there's no tax increase in this budget. When you see it publicized, there's going to be a 6.2 cent tax rate increase, but that's just because of the value changes. The township had a good year. Your percentage of collection was up from last year. Your fund balance did better. Lauren was able to lower the reserve fund collected taxes, use some more surplus, and that's how we developed a zero tax increase budget. You're well within the state caps. There's no issues on any of those. You're 851,000 under the spending cap, and you're cumulative $1 million something under the levy cap. So it meets all the guidelines of the state. It is a no tax increase. You now have a value that should be stable after the reassessment, so that should equalize things and not have the ability of many appeals. And it's no tax increase, and you're in better financial position after this budget than you were after last year's budget. So tonight, there's at least 3 people that say yes to move forward, and then we'll have a public hearing in April where we need at least 3 people to say yes to finish it.
Questions from council? Eric, you okay? Do I dare ask him to explain the, because we always get this, and you know where I'm going, right?
Oh, the cap ordinance?
Yeah,
Okay.
before somebody gets up, would you, because I know that they're gonna get up and ask, they do it.
Okay, the first item on your agenda, ordinance 2014-1, and this is a state requirement, it's a state format, there is that you must use, and it says, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and establish a cap bank. You're not exceeding anything. You're well within the cap. You're establishing a bank for what you aren't using. And it's not a real cash bank, it's the ability to raise expenditures more sometime down the road if you need to. It's an absolute waste of a document.
I got it.
I hate to say that, the state's making you do something that's crazy, but it's a waste of a document. But you must do it in order to establish the bank.
You can't raise the levy,
No.
so raising the expenditures beyond the cap,
Yeah.
unless we buy lottery tickets.
Now, let's use an example of why this might apply in somewhat real life. Let's just take a town that doesn't have beach fees, and we'll raise $1 million in beach fees.
Okay.
Without being able to spend more money, you have $1 million of revenue and no place to use it if you didn't do this ordinance. So you're increasing the ability to spend more money. But
Yeah.
you're also restricted on the other side with the amount of levy that you can raise. But if you had a new source of revenue that was going to be permanent every year,
Right,
you would be barred from spending it.
okay, that makes sense. We kicked around like a potential lawsuit, something like that, but that doesn't go year after year. It's only a
I
one-shot
have a
deal.
case where there is a sizable lawsuit, and they used some of this bank for 1 year to appropriate the money for legal
Okay.
fees in the 1 year's budget, because it did exceed what normally would have been allowed, but they had the bank that they could use.
All right, I see. Okay, interesting.
But yes, it's a very confusing thing, because
Well-
the way it's read, it looks like you're doing something that you're exceeding what you're allowed to do, but you're not.
You know, it's boilerplate. It's there every year, and
Yes.
we run against it every year. Somebody asks a question on it.
Right, and the same in your budget document, it says that you hereby approve the following budget. You're not approving anything tonight. You're introducing it tonight. But the way that the document reads, it says you're approving the budget. You're approving it to go into the format of presenting it to the public. That's what you're approving. But I get yelled at a lot for that. Why does that have to say approve? We're not approving anything. I said, you're not. But they're the state's words, and we gotta use them.
Okay. You know, there's a lot of work went into this, obviously. Last year at this time was a tough situation. Through no fault of council or township, we were faced with a tax increase that was generated by loss of revenue. And, you know, that balance has been corrected, and now everybody pays their fair share. And I think we walked away from that very well. And we were lucky on that to get in under the gun with the state. And a lot of credit goes to Art Amonette, but to Lauren, yourself, and to Mike, and the rest of the employees. So no further questions. Well, thank you, and we'll see you with the adoption.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The adoption will be April 21st. I stand corrected. The last meeting I said it was the 23rd because I thought Easter Monday this was a holiday, but it's the 21st of April.
Okay, we move now to the consent agenda. Does any council have any questions or comments on the consent agenda? Open it up for public comment on the consent agenda only. Yes, sir.
John Skorowski, 607 Arctic Avenue. Ordinance number 2014-01 on the ordinance to exceed the municipal budget, which I believe he was just talking about. It is 3.5% that you're increasing. I still don't understand why.
What he's basically saying, we're well under the cap. We're not going above the cap. What it does is if you go under the cap 1 year, the difference between what we're going to here and what we could go, this difference here is put into a bank. So if down the line, since we stayed under the 2%, if down the line there was a need for us to go above that, we could come back and take that room that we didn't use now. It's not money. It has nothing to do with it. There's no money being put in the bank. It's room.
Right.
And it's added on next time, maybe instead of 2%, we want to 3.5%. That's expenditures. That's not, what word am I looking for? Revenue. That's expenditures. And it would be a deal, you know, suppose we got a lawsuit that we had against somebody and we won $1 million. And we felt that there was a need to spend it on something that was really important for this township. But it would put us over the spending cap of 2%. So we went back in and we had stayed below the cap at other times. So we take that ability to go over the cap at that time, use that money to purchase something that the township needed. I don't know what it could be. I look at it every year and it's like stares at me and I'm like, get off the paper, because, you know, trying to go through the legalese that is involved with this budget's tough enough without having that in there, but I think I fully understand it.
Yeah, as I see it, you got the 3.5% leeway that
It would be.
if you needed it, you could
Yes.
use that money.
Yeah, but
and
that's not where
still not be penalized or anything.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions on the consent agenda? Close the public portion.
Approval of the New Jersey State Firemen's Membership Application for David D. Lewis, Bill's Volunteer Fire Company. Ordinance number 2014-01, in order to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and establish a cap bank. This is an annual ordinance required prior to the approval of the budget by the Director of Local Government Services. This is the first reading of the ordinance. The second reading and the public hearing will be held at the March 17th meeting. Ordinance number 2014-02. An ordinance establishing a 5-year tax exemption for improvement to and construction of commercial and industrial structures in the Cape May County Industrial Airport Park. This is the first reading. The second reading and public hearing of this ordinance is scheduled for April 7th. Approval of the minutes from February 3rd, 2014, and resolutions 2014-64 through 2014-76.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve? I move.
I'll second it.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes,
Regular agenda?
please.
Resolution number 2014-77. This is a resolution to amend resolution number 2013-231, the appointment of special counsel for the purpose of opposing the City of Cape May's attempt to withdraw from the Lower Cape May Regional School District. This makes the entire encumbered amount $25,000 for that contract.
And it's because we moved it over. We didn't have enough in the bank to pay them last year, so. Okay, is there any council questions, comments on this? All right, open up to public questions or comments on this. Close the public portion. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Neville?
Yes.
Councilmember Simonson?
Abstain.
Deputy Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Beck?
Yes. Move down to administrative reports. Is there any council comments or questions? Open up for council comments. Got a few, Councilman Tom.
Yesterday's press, there was an article concerning the Lower Cape May's regional's borrowing ability being disputed. Nice little article in the region section. It was not being disputed with facts or figures, but with beliefs and opinions. A certain person in Cape May, which I won't name, states the school will be able to borrow after the county superintendent makes his ruling, after checking out all the different findings. The law says otherwise, though. That person also agrees this process would be complete if it went to a vote, which he says the courts will not allow. He elects to mention, though, that it was Cape May's lawyer that blocked that vote from happening. The problem is, why? Because it kept the process going. It's feeding into the law system, the lawyers, people are making their money. But this is an example of the ripple effect of certain decisions. People do not look at some of the further outside effects of certain decisions that they make. They deny any responsibility for what does happen. Cape May's continued legal battle to dissolve the regional school district is not only costing the residents of Lower Township and the residents of Cape May more money in their taxes, but now it is definitely costing our children as well. Let's hope for correct decisions in the future. Budget, I want to keep this real short. I want to thank everybody, all the employees, department heads and manager, for all the hard work and hard decisions that they made to bring to a zero budget. Of course, where does this leave council now with a zero? We can't really go down because that affect the future. And the amount of money that it would take to decrease taxes, $360,000 is a lot. What are we going to cut? Services? We're not going to increase it. We can't afford it. Our residents can't afford it. We're under the cap. That's great. Problem is, what are we going to do? We can stay the same, but everyone expects council to do something. If we do raise taxes, the way the economy is, it can be the straw that breaks the camel's back. I don't want to be the straw on any of our residents, and I don't want to be the camel that breaks my back. We have to watch our spending. We have to spend it wisely, and we have to look at what projects we're looking at in the future and make sure they are for the all residents' benefit.
Well said, Tom, and I totally agree with the school, and I'm glad you're the one that brought it up this time. And with that, I'll pass it off to Eric. I'm done.
Speaking of the school, in the paper today, in the press, was we had 7 young men and women from Richard and Title School make the All Honors South Jersey Band. and there was a nice article in the press about that, and it is being held this year at our school at Lower Cape May Regional, our Performing Arts Center on Sunday, March 2nd. I think there were 300 applicants that tried out for it, and we had 7 that made it, so that was quite an honor. I also wanted to congratulate Eileen for one of the best, or at least the most well-attended benefits that I've seen over at the Bayview for the Run for the Fallen. Nice job, Eileen.
Thank
and it
you.
was, I know she was pleasantly surprised, I believe, with the outcome. Correct?
Yes, I was. I was very grateful.
And with that, I just, like the rest of the council, I want to say good job to everyone that worked on the budget. I know it's not finished yet, but I know the hard work has been put in. I just ask that, one of the things that I would like to see in the upcoming year is, and I know we've brought our number up to where it was before, but I really need to see more police officers on the street. We talk about heroin and drug problems, and it's nice to talk about it. It's nice to have symposiums. It's nice to educate people about it. But there's only one way you get the drugs off the street, and that's when you have badges on the street. And I think that's something that we need to consider. A few years ago, the contracts were reconstructed so that we could afford more officers, and I just think that that's something that is a must in the near future here in Lower Township. And with that being said, I will pass it on to Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Folks, I have some words to say about the school funding issue tonight. I want to make an appeal to the council in Cape May. I want to make an appeal to the voters in Cape May. And the appeal is this: let's not go to court. Let's go back to school on the school funding issue. And let me tell you what I mean by this. Let's just review where we've got. Tonight we upped the ante for more lawyers. We are questioning whether the school is going to be able to bond. We are facing years and years of litigation and wrangling over this. And before we go any further down this path, we need to ask ourselves, how did we get here? You know how we got here? Because some taxpayers in Cape May opened their bills one day, and they saw how much they were paying for the school. And then they heard someone say, do you realize how much each one of those students is costing us? $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 per student. And then they look back at their tax bill and they say, well, I don't have any kids in that school. And that's just too much to be spending for those kids. That's just too much. It's not fair for us to have to spend that much money. And then a lawyer comes in and says, you know what? Never mind the fact that the whole state is built on the premise that our essential services are funded by property taxes. The fire, the municipality, the county, the schools. We fund these things through our property taxes. We don't ask how many times we use the services. We don't ask how much we use the county roads, how many kids we have in school. We've decided the fairest and appropriate way as a state is to fund essential services that we promise to our citizens through our property taxes, which means if you have a higher property assessment, you pay more. That's the way the system works. And the lawyer said, no, disregard that. It's not really fair. Listen to me. I'm a lawyer. I'll get you a good deal. We'll work this thing out. Maybe we'll find a judge somewhere that'll give us an exception out of this. Give us a better deal. So, pay my fee, let's go down the road together. That's essentially what they're saying. They just increased their legal budget tremendously, as we are. But I want to say, first of all, it's very fair. Let me tell you why I think so. I brought my tax bill, I opened it up, and I looked how much I'm spending on the schools. It says here $3,372.22 for a year. That's how much my wife and I are paying. We don't have kids. We've been paying this tax for 20 years. We don't have any kids. So you don't sit back and say, do I have any kids? Therefore, should I be paying this school tax? You know what you do? You take the tax bill and you go over to the school and you ask the superintendent for a tour. And you walk through the halls and into the classrooms and you see 1,000 students, hundreds of students. You see them productive. You see them learning. You see them finding careers. You see them getting hope. And then you say, my God, this is a great deal for $3,300. All these kids getting an education and out of trouble and hope for the future. All that. Look at the teachers. Look at the students. Look at all that's going through that school and ask yourself, my goodness, this is a great deal to keep us from going to hell in a handbasket. Now, then they say, I say to the Cape May, it's not fair. Compared to what? Build your own school. Fund your own school from the bricks up. See how much that costs. Have your own school. Compare that to the deal that you're getting at regional. And then this business, if you're going to be smart, you're going to hire a lawyer and go down this course. I just don't think. I watched as this resulted in some 50 people showing up at the courthouse. All of us, lawyers, people from the county school superintendent, all the people that had to get involved because somebody over there started us on this road. But I don't think they realize, I don't think the people know how long it's going to take, how much it's going to cost. When you look at what some of these other people, what was the township that you cited the other day?
The one I paid up.
Seaside Heights.
Seaside Heights. Townships that are in the same situation, trying to seek the same course, spending that much money. I don't think the folks in Cape May realized how long. They need to ask the elected officials, how long is this going to take? How long do you really think this is going to take? How long could this cost? And what are the chances of success at the end of the road? Be honest about that. Because if you look at all of those things, I'm not sure it's so smart. I'm sure it's not. So here's what I mean by let's not go to court, let's go back to school. I'd like to appeal to Deputy Mayor Wichterman and council to come over to the school. The superintendent will give us all a tour of the school, introduce us to the classes, to the teachers, and see what the students are doing. And then let's have a panel discussion. Let's get Deputy Mayor, and we'll be there. And if they want to invite the attorneys too, let's get a real good discussion about what's going on here. And let the folks come and sit and listen to it. How long it's going to take, how much it's going to cost, and is the money really being well spent over there at the regional high school? And let's sit in the school and air this out together. I think that if we do that, I've met a lot of people from Cape May that are coming up to me and say, we don't agree with this. We don't agree. I think the ball just got rolling, and once it got rolling, it's really hard to say to some taxpayers, you know what, we can't go any further on this. It's really hard. I understand that for politicians to say, no, we got to stop. But I think it will be a lot easier for all of us to say, let's stop this madness if we show up in that school, take a tour, ask the attorneys to tell us exactly how long, how much, and let's answer some questions, have some dialogue, and then ask the people to take a vote. The deputy mayor pulled me aside, of Cape May pulled me aside at the League of Municipalities and told me it wasn't appropriate to, ask the voters in Cape May to vote on this thing. I'd like to see a vote. If as many people tell me that they're not in favor of this, maybe there's not a majority of people in Cape May that really are behind this. But before we really decide that, as a community, as a region, let's meet in that school. Let's not meet in court. That's all I have to say.
Very good.
Very good.
I
think how much easier life was like 2 years ago when I had never heard of FEMA, or at least to the extent that I wake up thinking about them. And I don't have to worry about, I didn't have to worry about this lawsuit, things like that. It's just, it comes at you in waves, and this is a huge one. I mean, it would be a total disaster for the township to lose this in any way, shape, or form, and we're in for the long run, and we're not going to lose it, but the stakes are so high. I mean, you know, it's easy because it becomes almost part of your existence. It's like we're in this fight. But you forget the picture that we talked about in the very beginning about how important this issue really is and what could possibly happen if for some reason they got their way. It would be just the ultimate disaster for not only the school, but for the residents of this and for the whole region. You know, the whole domino effect. It would affect Cape May themselves. And it's not the people of Cape May that we're angry with. I mean, Cape May City people are nice people. It's their leadership that I have issues with. And I think that they've gone off on a chase for the golden ring, and no matter what the cost, they're going to run over everything that's in their way in order to get there. And I'm not sure, and I think maybe you're right, they should take a tour of that school and see what's in there, and then see if they're still committed to the road that they're currently on. I don't know what to say. I have another issue, which is the hearing on Diamond Beach dunes scheduled for Friday, and this would apply to the Diamond Beach area. Adjacent to the beach area, there's a public hearing from DEP on Friday, February 21st at 2 p.m. at the North Wildwood City Hall. And this is in relationship to the construction of a 16-foot tall dune along the beaches from North Wildwood to the southern tip of Diamond Beach. And Councilman Simonson and myself, we met today with some of the officials from the Army Corps, and they explained what the procedure would be. It's a long road before this would occur, but there's a public hearing involving this thing on the 21st, as I said, at 2 p.m. And the public portion of this is open till what, March 7th, I believe? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Sorry, do you remember? I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was.
I didn't go through. I think it closes like March 7th. So those people that are in that area, it says that those who cannot, they can submit written comments within 15 days. We sent out a press release, I believe, today that the press should have gotten on this thing. But it's very important that, that I don't know if anybody here lives along the in one of the condominiums.
I believe that's March 10th. Sorry, Mayor.
March 10th. Okay,
Yeah, March
fine.
10th.
All right. So, but anyway, the public hearing is this Friday, February 21st at 2 p.m. Again, North Wildwood City Hall. That's probably it. I don't think we have anything else. We'll open up the public portion. If you have public comments, you're up, young lady.
Thanks for that.
Oh, you're welcome. My glasses.
Regarding what you were just talking about with the Diamond Beach and
Yes.
the dune, we're donor, right?
We're both.
We're both. We're
Yeah.
receiving and donor.
Yeah,
The dune.
it's
I thought they
potential.
were taking the sand from Diamond Beach, Wildwood Crest,
They may or may
moving
not.
it
They're
down
not
to-
sure. It's a long road on this. Correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, but they're going to put a berm all the way down there. It'd be about 85, I think, feet across at the base, 16 feet high.
Right.
And again, there's a whole process. It's a couple of years out, and it involves easements and a lot of other things. But they are coming down through there, permitting that they are given permission to, and putting the dune along there. And there's the potential that they may take some of the sand. But
From
that
Diamond
decision-
Beach
at the
and move it down to North
right.
Wildwood.
And there's a lot of questions that need to be answered about
Do we have
that.
a position on this?
No, we haven't really. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, council hasn't even looked at it. It's just, we just got the information within the past couple of days that this public hearing would be taking place. I believe it actually was in the Herald, if I'm not mistaken, last week as a public notice that was in the paper.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay? Is there anybody else who wishes to address council, John? Oh, I'm sorry, you're up here, Frank. No, John, somebody come up, it doesn't matter. Odds, evens, one of them.
John Skronsky, 607 Arctic. I'd just like to say more about what the deputy mayor said about the school. When I moved here, I retired here, and like you said, I looked at my tax bill and saw what the school taxes were. I said, oh my God, you know, that's a lot of money. So I started to attend school board meetings and got to know Mr. Kovic. And he gave me a grand tour of the high school, regional high school, and I was dumbfounded in what I saw. I saw a workshop that's unbelievable, a marine lab, a botanist area, and I think it would behoove any citizen who thinks that they're paying a lot in school taxes to go over there and get a tour. It's well worth it. I didn't go to school there, so I didn't know what was there. But the kids who go to school here really have it very good. It's a beautiful school, and the people in Cape May should go over there and see it and let them visit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, John.
Frank?
Frank Sirocco of the Village. Is it appropriate or is it too late to get a little clarification on this ordinance 2014-2?
Is that the
That's about the airport.
tax abatement? Yeah, you can ask. I mean, there's a public hearing at the next meeting, but if you want to ask, go ahead.
Well, I'm a little confused here. It's because I got a copy of the ordinance here, and I'm looking at the last two paragraphs under finding, purpose, and determination. And don't misunderstand me, I'm not against the abatement or anything of that nature, but the last paragraph B, it says Township Council is hereby determined by Cape May County Airport Industrial Park at the lane as the zoning map Township of Lower, prepared by Remington Bernie Wahlberg, and it goes on to say that it's in such bad shape, it needs rehabilitation, it needs reconstruction, renovations, and existing structures without introduction, and new construction, and so forth and so on. But if you want to go into economic development, and even if you do give a business a $2,000 a year, say, we'll use that as a number, tax abatement. What do you got in 5 years? You got $10,000. You know what I mean? I mean, like, this is where the vernacular come up, slumlord, because the county has done nothing with these buildings. I mean, you're asking a business person to go into these buildings and put a whole new electrical system in, probably all new plumbing, and walls, fix leaking roofs and whatever, and then start a business. I mean, yes, they're going to go in and make it their own, but if they have a building that they can go into and then put in a counter, so say here, a freezer box here, and a counter or a cash register and checkout counter here, that's a different story. But when you have to go in there and go from scratch, you could give them $10,000 a year for 5 years. And what happens? The guy doesn't have enough money to even run his business. That's my point.
Frank, you're asking a good question. First of all, just before we did this, we got with the county, we got with the DRBA, we got our solicitor, and we got with our tax assessor. And the tax assessor weighed in on this. He said, you know, I was in Linwood when they used this exact same law that we're using on this. It's actually an exemption. Technically, we're doing an exemption, not an abatement, but that's when they applied the same law to the old Prudential building in Linwood, They got someone from Pennsylvania to basically improve the value of that building, invest $19 million. They increased the value of the building by $19 million as a result of them passing this law. So someone figured it was in their interest to put $19 million worth of improvements into an old building in Linwood in order to run a business.
All right, that's fine. You're talking about somebody that can afford to put $19 million into a building. Now, the building wasn't ready to fall down. Now, I'm sure that council has toured some of these buildings. These electrical systems are stripped. Copper's gone. And God knows how much you're going to have to spend for an exterminator, for the critters that are living in this thing. You know, and you're asking a guy to come in, an entrepreneur who's got X amount of money. He doesn't have multi-million dollars to drop into this place. He might have a few $1,000.
There are a lot of things going on over there. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people have been over to the airport and have seen some of the businesses that have gone in there, especially the Cape May Brewery and a couple adjacent. The point is that some of that's boilerplate that is necessary in order to apply to the state to receive permission to do the exemption. It's not an abatement, it's an exemption.
Okay.
And what it boils down to, and what the current taxes that are being paid are not impacted at all. They continue to be paid. It's only on improvements. It's only if somebody comes in and then it's phased out over 5 years. Now, we've tried nothing. How did that work? I mean, you know, that's basically where I'm at. For years and years, nobody did anything over there. But finally, there's some movement out of the DRBA, there's movement out of the county. I think there's a recognition that we're in a position that jobs have to be created.
I understand that.
And this is probably one of the
best
chances for us to help seed this without it really costing us anything, because reality is you don't have that tax money now. What we're saying is if you come in there and if you're enticed, as Norris showed, what talked about in another town, if you're enticed to come in and you invest in our area, yes, there'll be a tax break phased out over 5 years.
Okay.
But that is
there
what you
grant money
get.
Involved in that?
Pardon me?
Grant
I
money?
think there's some confusion.
I think Frank's confused,
The
yeah.
difference between an abatement and an exemption.
Yeah.
I've heard the gentleman say several times that you're giving a business. The township's not giving money away. It's not an abatement. What happens is that any improvement, the value of that improvement will not be taxed for the first year. The second year, it's taxed at 20%. The third year, 40%. The fourth year, 60%. And the fifth year, 80%. And then it's taxed at 100%.
In the meantime, he has to renovate that building.
That's
Well, he's already done that.
That's where
Well, see,
that's where the rate
point.
comes. That's where the increased assessment comes in.
I understand that, but what I'm getting at is you're taking a guy or a person or a company or whatever, and you're taking these people and you're saying, you can have this building for this. And
Well,
yet
the
they have
intent,
to have the
sorry,
money.
is to get those people to come to Lower Township and invest those millions of dollars here in Lower Township at the airport, as opposed to some other municipality like Millville that would have a tax abatement or exemption ordinance, or just have
I
more
understand that.
more favorable real estate.
Okay.
That's the intent.
But I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying. You're asking a person to invest this kind of money that is going to take him whatever money he's going to be excused from, let's put it that way, to use that to renovate his building, and he won't be able to afford it, is what I'm getting
Well,
at.
Frank, I think there's a misunderstanding here, if I may, also.
Watch on it.
We've spent a lot of time out at this airport. This council has the best relationship that I've seen in all the years I've been around here with the freeholders and with the DRBA to deal with this place for economic development, and Norris has been taking a lead to try to bring business people in there. And the bottom line is, yes, they'll make a decision. Do I want to invest? How much money do I want to spend? How many people can I employ? That's the intent. This white elephant hasn't been looked at. Everybody will write it off that nothing's ever going to happen. Right now is the best time that this council gets along with the freeholders, gets along with the DRBA that has the money, that's the landlord. They're going to be taking some buildings down. They've already made some improvements, and I think the people of this community deserve that.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. All right, I have a little bit, I understand. My other point here is what of Fishing Creek. Has anybody looked at Fishing Creek here lately?
Oh, well, but that's a question.
Now, just-
That came up a few weeks ago. The water's up.
The water's up, the road is sinking, okay? Now, if that overflows, and that portion of the road freezes, we're gonna have one heck of an accident, okay? Now, just a moment. What I'm gonna give you here, give one to Michael. It's an article that was written in the paper, and it's also a petition that you said you wanted to do. I'm sorry.
I give it to you.
There.
Thanks, Frank.
Now that article and that petition pertains to Fishing Creek. And that petition goes back to 2009. That's when it was first submitted. Now, I don't know whatever happened to it. It seemed to have disappeared. Now, I'm of the understanding that once Coxwell Creek was done and was redone, or however you want to call it, and from what was accomplished there was going to be accomplished here. Nothing's done. Now we have an engineer that for some reason or other he treats Lower Township like a redheaded.
You mean the county engineer?
County engineer.
All right.
That treats Lower Township like a redheaded, buck-toothed, freckle-faced, bow-legged stepchild. Now,
I don't know what to say about that one.
you know,
You're not talking about Dale, are you?
yes, I am. Yes, I am. I didn't want to mention his name, but now that you brought it up, yes.
And your points,
See, now, like I said, if this thing continues to rise and that overflows on that road, and you've got a nice situation, you're going to have one heck of an accident.
right.
And groundwater, if you read that article, and it goes back to 2000, I forget, 9, whatever it is, it states that when the MUA went down and checked on sewer lines, at that particular time, the person involved in the inspection said he never saw so much groundwater. And we've had groundwater in this thing, Tom knows.
It's getting worse.
It's getting what, Tom?
It's getting much worse because it's come to the south end of the Bills. You reminded me, because the last time we started talking about this, I asked the manager to get hold of Dale to find out, because they were supposed to bond and repair the pump station down there, because we thought they were going to work on Fishing Creek next after Coxhall, but instead they went somewhere in Cape May. I forget which creek it is or something they're looking at, but this is affecting Middle and Lower Township, mostly the north end of the Bills, but it's also cut the south end, and from what I'm looking at, it affects Irma, because there's spots in Irma that you drive that never had water in it, and you're looking in the woods.
If you look at that, excuse me, Tom, but if you look at that petition, you'll even see people's names on it.
From Middle Township, yes.
From Middle Township.
Well, we've applied for a grant and teamed up with the
Yeah.
DP. You want to touch on it, Mayor?
It's still in the preliminary stages.
Mike, it's been preliminary.
No, this grant is going to talk
right,
about it.
you're not listening. This, we probably will hear more about it within a month or two. But I mean, whether we get it or not, there's no guarantee. But if we do, it would enable us to do a comprehensive engineering study of the whole thing with the resolution and what steps need to be taken for a variety of flooding issues throughout the town.
Then we would be able to have the ability to go after the Federal Department of the Interior for grant money to make the improvements that are needed and identified throughout the township.
We just kind of keep it close because, that it's not there right now.
Okay.
So there's no sense in getting, if it does, you'll be the first to know.
The problem is, it was supposed to go out to bid to fix the pump station last February.
I get that.
We're a year later, and they haven't done anything.
You know, that, and we.
Here's
right
another
down the
thought.
road.
Here's another thought. By the rising water,
Right.
rising groundwater, it contributes to mold, okay, in your houses. Now, what would happen if they got a petition up to go out to the public health department and drop this petition on them about the potential and the mold problem that's happening in Lower Township, just for example, or in the villas?
All right, well.
That wouldn't be nice at all.
I think what we'll do is within the next couple of days, we'll reach out to the county. And if we have to do a resolution at the next meeting or whatever, we'll ask them again to do something in relationship to this situation since it's their area. Okay?
Okay.
It is theirs.
Yes,
But
oh yes. It used to look like a wetland, now it looks like a lake.
Yeah, it does. It looks like a lake.
But I mean,
And
you know.
that creek right now is right up to level.
Yep.
Groundwater's.
And it's coming up,
Yeah,
or it's going to come
they have to
over.
get that water out of there.
Yeah, I
The
am.
groundwater's flow out, that's the natural way to do it, but
Well-
bottle it up.
We'll reach out to them tomorrow, and we'll talk, you can talk with me. But at the next meeting, we'll tell you, you know, publicly what the results of our conversation were. And if necessary, we'll again, which we've done, I think, before, I think we have probably a few resolutions asking them to take a look at this situation. So how about we go that direction?
Yeah, last time Councilman Conrad asked, I talked with that good-looking county engineer that you described, and I will make that call again tomorrow and let them know it came up tonight. We want to know when something's going to be done.
Okay.
Thank you, Frank.
Definitely, thank you, Frank.
Anybody else wish to address council? Close the public portion. Oh, somebody raised their hand, this gentleman.
Jack Sudrick from 315 Roseanne Avenue.
Yes, sir.
Do we have an idea of where the project stands for Roseanne Avenue? What the report has come back to be?
I can give you the latest update. We did a couple probes out there. Public Works was out there to check on some of the area. Well, first let me back up a little bit. The flow has been honestly better than we've ever seen it since we got the Mosquito Commission to clean up down at the end where the pipe comes out of Clearwater. And since the work's been done at Coxhole Creek, we've seen things start to level out and get better. However, in the future, we're going to have to do some pipe work there to replace some old pipe. But through the grace of God, it's continuing to flow, and we are monitoring the situation. Gary Douglas has been out there with a crew to see what the status is. But in the future, we're going to have to make an expenditure and replace some pipe there.
Does the situation with Coxhole Creek regarding Fishing Creek, does that have anything to play into with Roseanne Avenue as far as the water?
No.
No? Not related?
No.
Okay. You know where Coxhall Creek is?
Yeah.
Fishing Creek is the marsh between Bellhaven and Villas.
Oh, Fishing Creek, you said. Oh, okay.
But we're aware of Roseanne. We've monitored the situation. We did a couple digs just to see the status. And in the future, we're going to have to spend some money out there.
Yeah. Anybody else wish to address council? Yes.
Ed Butler from the Villas. Just to pick up on this FEMA thing that you had mentioned, just a matter of information. Last week, I happened to be looking out the back there and I saw a fellow walking down the dunes with a GPS. So I imagine it's probably from Professor Farrell that you hired from Stockton. Mm-hmm. And they're doing a ground survey for elevation.
Yep.
And what I gathered from other sources that the way this was done before, that it was a helicopter flew over and just took a reading. And like you say, it's a very important thing, especially as far as these floodplain maps. Mm-hmm. And I know there's a lot of controversy about it. It'll be a disaster to this township and Middle Township. Mm-hmm. And the combination of the two, how far advanced is that, or do you know anything other than right now where that stands as far as where Mr. Farrell is on that?
He's still a couple months out. He's done a lot of the legwork. We did that this week. The police department was gracious enough to take him around on a quad out there, and they shot a lot of elevations and stuff, and
Yeah,
did a lot of
I noticed that.
survey work out there.
The intelligence that we've received so far is he feels that he has enough information to look at not only the V zone, but all the zones, and have a good argument to defend the people in those areas.
Comparison to the maps they have now and what he sees right now.
Yes, that's a preliminary report without.
I'm not even going there. He'll make his own.
I know it's a
report on-
touchy subject because it's still in process.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he'll end up, and then we'll have to wait until he's done, but he's the guy that we hired to defend us in relationship to the FEMA maps. We also have our planner who's involved with some of that also, but it's moving along.
Yeah, because when you talk to different residents in different areas, even Coxsall Creek, there's a variation there. So it's really a mixed up situation.
It's something that, again, we didn't have this a couple of years ago.
All right, well, at least
We're dealing with it.
it's in the process. The second thing with the deputy mayor, I agree with that as far as the taxes. And we go back as a personal situation. People are paying for the school taxes and not using them. I'm doing the same thing as you're doing. There's many of us that are retired and don't have children in school, but also over the period of years, and we can go back, I can go back a long time ago when I was raising kids, I had the choice of either sending them to parochial school or public schools. I sent them to parochial school, but I still paid for the public schools. I'm doing the same thing now, and many people are. And if you really look at it, like I brought up before in front of this council, in Cape May, with their tax ratables, and even though their property's valued the same as it say would be here, they're way below us as far as the total taxes, and even the school taxes, even though they have less children going there. But that's a fair way of doing it until the state changes or something else comes in. So I agree with that. Hopefully that somebody will take a look at that from Cape May and say, let's stop this nonsense and get down to it and just go back to where it is, because the people there, they're paying less taxes than we are as far as even school, you know. So I just wanted to bring that up there, and thank you for that.
Okay. Anybody else? Yes, Mr. Long.
Good evening, Fred Long, Cold Spring. I would just like to thank the Deputy Mayor for bringing up this topic in the light and in the way that he did. It's important, I think, for council to continue any kind of way that might... Negotiations are better than war. And I think that you should think about this. I don't know, there's all kinds of things with it, how it affects the present procedure we're all in, all these questions. But I don't think you should lose sight of what the Deputy Mayor raised tonight. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, close the public portion. Motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Aye.